Hey guys, welcome back to After Hours with Jimmy Thistle. Um, Today is episode 50. I can't believe that. Well, it's been since January that I started this. This is now season 2, and there wasn't even really. I don't think there was a break between season 1 and season 2. I think I just kind of did 25 episodes and then called it a break. Straight away the next week was season 2, and then now I've done another 25 episodes of that. So it's been a bit of a mental crazy learning curve, enjoyment, joy, just loved every single kind of minute of doing this and learning the ropes, and getting new equipment, learning how to edit it properly. I'm still learning as we're going, but it's and now to do the video as well. All of these things, it's been a fantastically amazing, incredible, awesome year of doing the podcast. So I'm just saying all these things now because this is episode 50, and there won't be episodes until 1st of January. So there's going to be a little break, but I think it's it is 45 days till Christmas today when I'm recording this on Tuesday. Episode's out this Friday, so yeah, it's I will still be recording through December to get some in the can for next year. My plan is to record the little intros and outros like that week, so that they are still relevant to what's going on. I'm not going to start saying things about, oh, it's coming up to Christmas, and then you guys are listening to it in, February or whatever. So I'm going to try and keep that a little bit more consistent and with continuity. So yeah, but it's just been, I want people to comment on what they're enjoying, what they've enjoyed over the past year. If they've thought, the sound could be better. I am planning on getting a new mic, even though this is my second mic. I just feel it's a bit of a gamer mic, and it's not that aesthetically pleasing for what I'm trying to do on the podcast. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the tunes the little intro jingle and outro jingle had to change. I was using the same one. I'd got it from a copyright-free website, and suddenly, while I was on holiday, I had Kim's episode ready to go while I was out in Morocco, and I got a email from Spotify saying that this is no longer a copyright piece of music. So I was like, what the... Luckily, and I might be shooting myself in the foot now by saying it on air, but luckily they didn't say, your previous whatever 46 or 47 episodes have to be taken down as well. I was just like, man. So I went and found a quick little piece of music that no copyright and all that, and added that to it. I'm not 100% happy with it. It might, it might stay, it might not, but I'm going to spend time over the next month or so, month and a bit before we start up. Jesus, it's not that long. It's 50 days until we start up again. So 2 months nearly. Just polishing up things a little bit, might get a bit more decoration in the studio here, and but any comments that anyone has, if you're liking what I'm doing, if you're not, give me comments, feedback on what you think has been good over the past year's podcast, the last 2 seasons, and what hasn't worked for you. All the feedback I get is pretty good. I don't think I've really had any bad feedback. Maybe a few comments on shorts on YouTube, but other than that, not really much to speak of. So as far as I'm, blindsided and thinking that everyone's loving it, so I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But as I say, season 3 coming in January. There will be the bonus episode, hopefully, if Jen and I get round to recording it on 1st of January. And but I just want to kind of polish it up, and got some amazing guests coming up. In fact, I'm recording 4 this week, so I've got one tomorrow, one Thursday, and 2 on Sunday. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a hectic week, but I think I'm going to get about 10 in the can before I then have a break for Christmas. I think my last one is on the 18th of December, so kind of pushing it right up to the last minute, but then I'll have a little bit of a break, and hopefully Jen and I will be going away for New Year, and Christmas is just going to be an amazing one with, family, the kids, Jen. First one as a married man. Yeah, so all of that. I know it's still early, but 45 days till Christmas, so that's why I'm talking about it now. And because apart from on Instagram, you won't really be hearing from me. Although I might take a little break on Instagram, because what I've said is I want to start really kind of delving into my my book, my kind of memoirs that I've been writing for a while. I've taken a massive break from doing it. I haven't really written much for about 4 years, so yeah. So I really need to get cracking with that, and that's the plan. So things with me and plans, they kind of have all these fantastical ideas, and then something else comes along and things change. So this is my plan as we stand at the moment, and I'm going to try and get better at sticking to things. We were talking about New Year's resolutions now, aren't we? So yeah, right. Today we've got Will Gordon. Now, Will was on my podcast, I think about a month and a bit ago. I can't remember the exact episode, but it was a good few ago. Really good feedback on that episode. Will's just an amazing character. I first saw him heard him on Sober Dave's podcast quite a few years ago, and it just blew me away. And we got chatting just after I'd heard it. I don't think it was. It might have been the week it was out. I don't know, but it might have been a back catalogue one that I was listening to, but I can't really remember. But when I heard it, I reached out to Will straight away. Just because it was such a powerful episode. Will had quite a competitive, upbringing with him and I think it was 3 or 4 other brothers, just constantly into sports, and their dad was quite a big name in the sports world in their town, and, really kind of pushed hard on the kids to be competitive and striving to be the best. So that was kind of, where he kind of came from. But with different aspects in life and just drinking culture. But I think Will kind of found some coping mechanism in alcohol when he had, as a teacher, he had some quite challenging kids in Boston area, which really just kind of pushed him to the levels where he wanted to see how much he could drink, get away with it, and cope with it. So it was finding that balance of not drinking during the day when he was with the kids, but straight away, as soon as he was finished that hell of a day, he'd jump in the car and be drinking. So it brought us up to like 2020 when he was diagnosed with hepatitis of the liver, which I didn't know much about, but that's like kind of almost a precursor for cirrhosis. So as much as he had that, then got sober for 125 days, and you'd think that was where he got sober, but unfortunately it didn't. So very powerful story. Listen for the similarities, because I'll tell you about the similarities between me and him at the end, which I'm sure you'll notice when it comes to that. Sorry about the beeping, that's something on charge there, but it's not bothering it too much. I'm not really going to re-record this because of beeping, but yeah. You might not have even heard it, but listen for the similarities and not the differences. Will's story is just such a tragic and could have ended so badly, but it's just a story of hope. So, yeah, here comes Will. Cheers, guys. Welcome to After Hours, mate. It's so good to see you again, because the listeners will know that I was on your podcast. It was about 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, something like that. But
I think your episode came out like 3 weeks ago, I want to say.
Yeah,
but we probably recorded it like over a month ago. Yeah,
So I think I was listening to it while I was away. But yeah, awesome, man. So thank you for doing the podcast swap and coming on mine. So how have you been today? You've been busy
Jimmy.
today?
I was excited to come back and talk to you on yours, because I'm a big fan of you, Jimmy. I'm a big fan. We're
Thanks,
buddies
man.
now, you know? Like,
Oh
why
yeah.
don't you come on your family? Why don't you come on your
Well,
family?
this is it, man. I mean, you're friend of the podcast, family of the podcast. So yeah, and it like I could see that the episode that I did, not specifically, but your podcast is just, especially on YouTube, is just kind of growing from strength to strength, man. So yeah, it was an honor
Oh,
and a
thank you.
pleasure to come on yours. So
Yeah,
yeah,
of course, of
so
course. Yeah, your episode was great, man. I learned a lot just listening to your story, and you were really compelling the way you told it in like a really honest, genuine way, you know? So I always felt like there's a select few of people that I've had on the show.
mhm.
Please let me know if my dog is barking in the
No, no, it's
background.
fine, it's fine. Yeah.
That I know like right after we wrap filming it, we're gonna be like buds for life kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Like I know exactly what you mean. You get that vibe off certain people, and it's like it's a good hang, and you're just like, right, yeah. Do you know what? This guy knows what we're on about, and yeah, I totally get it, man. Same vibe. So let's go back and like tell us a little bit about your childhood, Will, and like when you had your first drink, man, and take it from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, Jimmy. So my story begins at the age of 14, much similar to yours, man. I was youngest of four brothers, very competitive family, like very athletic, outgoing, super strict household though. Like my dad was from the old school world of Irish Catholic. Like he implemented that. He instilled like these values and like work hard, like do the right thing when no one's looking, like always give it your best effort. But those are some pretty high standards to hit. And I was the youngest of four boys. So when we did our sports and we did our schooling and we did all those things, like you had a standard that you had to hit. Like the Gordon last name was looked on like in a really favorable way. So you didn't want to mess that up, right? And a lot of that pressure you can directly correlate to. I'm sorry. Like I should put her in the other room. I'm so sorry, man.
That's all
She's
right,
like
man.
right there. This is like what I was dealing with earlier. I'm sorry.
It's
But
cool.
yeah, so it was like a direct correlation between like the amount of effort that you got to put into doing something authentically and real, and that level of standards that you need to hit. It can get uncomfortable, and then that's where you find yourself usually escaping with alcohol use. Yeah, that's what I was doing. Yeah, so it was all fun though at the beginning. Though I'm not gonna lie, it was all fun at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, it was kind of not a tough upbringing, but like, yeah, super competitive, super strict in a way. And, it was, we're similar ages. And it was like the 80s and the 90s was a bit of, it was still that kind. I mean, like our parents were boomers, weren't they? So they were still brought up in that mentality of like, I still finish my plate when I'm eating my food because that was always ingrained in me. Like, you
Yeah.
will finish all the food on your plate and all that. So I still do that, and it's just, not saying that like parental kind of attitudes are changing. I guess they are, but like it was a tougher time, children were like seen and not heard and all that kind of stuff. So, um,
Yeah, for
but then
sure.
to
With
throw the kind of athleticism and kind of competitive nature and keeping up with three other boys. Do you know what I mean? That like I had an older brother who did tease me relentlessly, so I had that to deal with. But you've got three older brothers that are like all fit, athletic, playing sports and stuff. So that's got to be tough to kind of go, well, they've done that before me. They're bigger, stronger, from a certain, until you got to like the same manhood or whatever, that you were the same size and build probably as them, that you're
yeah,
you're always kind of trying to catch up and compete with them. Yeah.
yeah. And my dad was a Hall of Fame hockey coach too, so like he had
Wow.
like a really high, like I said, in the community, he was really looked at after like as like someone in high regard, right?
Yeah.
So when you would do something wrong or you would mess up or whatever, right? You would be like penalized for it. You would be like reprimanded.
Yeah.
So I was always trying to avoid that. As long as my father doesn't yell at me, as long as like I don't make a scene or like I'm getting into trouble, like none of that. So that's basically how it went for a while. Like I had to live up to a standard. I didn't really want to do it, and I really was like more of like a creative person. Like I
Hmm.
wanted to do like the thing. I wanted to like be in like plays and like do like stand up comedy and stuff like that. Anything to put into like a creative outlet I wanted to pursue. But
Hmm.
my parents were really rigid in that sense that like no, you go and you go do something productive. Like you go be a teacher. So that's what I did. My dad was a teacher. My brother Matt is a teacher. My mother was a teacher for a while. She was a nurse for most of her life. But it was instilled with the family. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to be a teacher because I want to appease my father. I want to do a job that has an impact, direct impact on the community. I'll like it. Who knows? And I ended up doing it for 14 years, man. But yeah, but within those 14 years, there was, especially back in like 2018, it sucked. Like I was teaching middle school and I was developing a severe alcohol use disorder problem. Like I was drinking. It was such a challenging school. I was dealing with middle schoolers, which I was used to, but this school in the north end of Boston was really challenging. Like you couldn't even get like a couple words in with these kids because it was a big group of kids. You had them for like 5 periods throughout the day. They weren't changing like their environment. They weren't like moving from class to class too much because there wasn't like enough staff. It was just like exhausting. So I was really going through the throes of it, of like, testing the waters of like how much alcohol can I consume to kind of drown out this feeling of like anxiety and like
And
just
so what,
yeah.
sorry, well, to just kind of, were they kind of troubled kids? So they were giving you attitude and like they'd almost like set up their little kind of base camp because like you're saying they're not moving from. So they are kind of like you're going to other classes, then you're coming back, but they've got their like kind of stronghold almost, and they're giving you kind of grief and attitude. Is that
So
kind of how it was?
yeah, so it was a Catholic school. So like you have Boston schools, which are primarily really good, but for the behavior kids, you have like 2 schools of thought. You have like the old school thought with the parenting, like I'm just going to send my kid who has behavior issues the old school way, like how I got, how I dealt with it back in like the 60s, 70s, right? So they would send their kids to the school. I didn't know that going into this position. And by the time I got there, it was too late, and I was like too much into it, and I wasn't going to give up on the kids. So it was like a lot of different moving factors at that time, but it totally brought on some seriously not healthy habits when it came to drinking to cope with the stress of the job.
And just to go back a bit, so how old were you at that point? Sorry, was that like your first kind of job after graduating college, or?
No, so I taught high school as a substitute teacher at the high school I went to.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, back in 2010. So I graduated 2009 with my bachelor's at a school in New Hampshire here, and that was great. And then I went into teaching, and then I taught 2 years as a sub, and then I left that school on the 3rd year, and I went to go teach in an alternative high school program. But it paid peanuts, and it was exhausting. And I was dealing with troubled kids at that point. I actually really enjoyed those kids though, because they had a reason to have like a really tough upbringing, and they had a reason to act the way they were acting. These other kids didn't really necessarily have that reason, which really drove me crazy with them. And they're middle schoolers, so whatever. But so I worked that job. That job was only for a year, and then as that job ended, that's when I went to teach in a Montessori school for 3 years, and I loved that. I loved teaching at a Montessori school. I have like a Montessori personality, so you teach the whole child. You teach them not just like facts. You teach them like how to be a good person, like all that good stuff, and like how to be autonomous over your life. Like you don't learn that kind of stuff in the American school system. It's more like do these standardized tests as fast as you can, get the best grades, like, and then move to the next level. Whereas Montessori, it's more like they incorporate a lot of stuff, but. Did that, loved it, but then I got Lyme disease in 2018 on a field trip, coincidentally with the kids. So I couldn't finish my training that second summer that I had to go back. So I told the school, they were like, well, we have to move on because all our teachers need to be certified in Montessori. And I was like, okay, well, I have Lyme disease. I have to be in the hospital here. They're like, well, we're in a tough position, so we got to find someone that. So I was in a really awkward spot. That's when I went to the north end of Boston to do that Catholic school job, and that's when things just really kind of like hit the skids, right?
So before we go into that, so how was, like you said, you started drinking at 14. Now, how was your kind of teen years with your alcohol? Was it just like hanging out with buddies? Was it? Do you think it was? Do you think you were doing it more than your buddies, or just kind of the norm?
It was the norm. Like I was doing it just as much as they were. You know, like I was partying.
Yeah.
We were looking forward to drinking every single weekend. Like we were,
Yeah.
you know, I hung out with the same kind of kids. Like I played football, I played hockey, I played lacrosse. So like we had the same group of kids that would kind of go in between those three different sports, and we always had like fun together. It was all fun and innocent. Honestly, we drink in the woods for the most part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just normal stuff, right? And it was all fun, and even in college, it was still fun up until my sophomore year when I started to realize I got a nasty habit. Like I would start pushing my classes back further and further. If it was like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., I would be like, no way I'm getting up for that, which is a typical story you hear, but the writing was on the wall. It's not something you really want to kind of get yourself into the habit of doing, is just making room for drinking. So once I started doing that, I went abroad. My junior year, I studied abroad in Australia, and my drinking just ramped up like 1,000%. Like I met people from all over the world. I was having these crazy experiences with like people I would never associate with normally, and then my drinking went from like on the weekends to now it was like every day. And when it becomes like a habitual thing like that, that's where it can get really scary. So I went into Australia. I was in really good shape and stuff like that. And then I went back to New Hampshire where it's cold and wet and dreary. And then I started really drinking. And yeah, man, it got pretty nasty. I got a DUI my senior year of college.
So this is before you're even working yet. I mean, Australia, I've never been to Australia, but I know a lot of Aussies and they are big drinkers. I mean, I know you said you met like loads of different nationalities over there, but like when in Australia, it's a big drinking culture over there, really. So
It's huge. It's like incorporated with everything, and they handle their booze pretty well there. So you don't really see too many people going kind of like getting into trouble with the law. Like at least I didn't. At least in the Gold Coast of Robina was the name of the town I was living in. But yeah, it was all fun and games until it wasn't. So I came back home, New Hampshire, finished out my undergrad with living with people that I didn't necessarily weren't the closest with, and that made things uncomfortable. So like it was just like it started to just ramp up. Like the alcoholism just started to ramp up, and then when I graduated, I got those first 2 years under my belt of teaching. But then I broke up with my girlfriend, who I met at the time in Australia. She was from Minnesota at that point, and then I actually have never told this story before.
yeah,
The reason why we broke up was because one, we were young, and two, she lived in Minnesota. But the real reason was she came to visit me in Boston. We were hanging out. She came to visit me at school. I'm sorry. She came to visit me at school in New Hampshire. We went out. I got way too drunk. She got pretty messed up too, but it was me. It was mostly me. And we got in a big fight because I thought she was like flirting with some other guy. I don't know. It was so immature and like ridiculous. But I remember getting too drunk and then leaving her, like thinking like she could like get back to my apartment, like thinking like she was like, I don't know what I was thinking, but it was like the biggest dickhead move ever. It was so cruel of me to do. And I left her there for like a bunch of hours. And then like I went back to like, I don't know what I did, but I went back to my apartment to kind of gather everything. And then I passed out like a jackass, like an asshole, while my girlfriend from Minnesota is in the bar and waiting for me. And she doesn't know how to get a hold of me because I'm passed out, my phone's off, and it's New Hampshire and it's the middle of the winter. It was the worst, man. And like I'm thinking back on it now, like that's obviously why we broke up. And like you would think like a normal person in that who goes through something like that would eventually learn and be like, well, I need to stop drinking. But no, like it just actually got worse, you know?
yeah. I mean, that does. I mean, I'm sure you're kind of cringing thinking back about that situation as well, because I've
It
done
sucks, man. It makes me feel like such a bad person for doing it. But you make mistakes when you're younger that you just have to.
You do things, and you probably. I mean, I'm sure you kind of made it up to her in a way, and then, but she's obviously got in the back of her head. No, this guy's a dick. What?
Right. I mean, she depended on me, and I wasn't there for her.
She's in the middle of nowhere, like out in a bar with God knows what people. You've obviously got it in your head that she's doing something nefarious, and then you've gone like, well, screw you, I'm going back, and then you've passed out. So yeah, but we don't learn, do we? Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. So what were you, like 23, 24 maybe?
I was like 21, 22. I was old. I was an older senior, yeah.
like your like, what do they call it? Your prefrontal lobe kind of thing hasn't even really fully
Developed
developed.
it.
So you're not thinking about consequences and all that. We're very kind of selfish and egotistical as drinkers, but also as that age of a person. You know, you're not exactly getting a 21-year-old man to think like, oh, I need to think about all the consequences and also all everyone else's feelings in a room. Like, fuck that. They're not. You're not going to do that. So, you are forgiven, Will. You know, for doing that, and you
Thank
know,
you.
but
And I've spoken to her since, and we're actually good friends now. Like
yeah.
we
Well, that's good. You know what I mean? But she probably still thinks, what a dick. You know,
Oh
like,
God! Well, and she's right. She's right to call me
yeah,
a dick.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was an
Because
absolute prick. That's an asshole
that
move.
that version of you was, you know, you're not obviously that person now. You know, there's no way in hope in hell that you would do that to your wife or whatever
No.
now. You
Yeah, my
know,
wife
it's
now.
like
I would absolutely not do that.
no chance, no chance. So then you're drinking when you were at this school in Boston. You know what came to mind? I don't know if you've seen the film. Oh, what's it called? It's a Ryan Gosling film where he's a teacher.
Ryan
Oh,
Gosling's the teacher. I would. I feel like I
he's
would know that.
yeah. So like, I went through a phase of watching all of Ryan Gosling's films, and it's is it what is it called? Um, he's a teacher, and he's basically like in the throes of addiction, and he's just kind of like he's going into school like really hungover. He befriends this kind of like it's a troubled school, and he's got a really troubled class, like inner city kind of, you know, hoodlums. But there's this one girl who's like quite promising, but she's having a rough time at home, and he's like he's obviously in this throes of addiction where he's getting home, and I don't know if I think he actually starts like drinking and using at school as well. And
Hmm.
it's like it just gets worse and worse and worse, but they both end up like kind of helping each other out, and it's an amazing film. I'm just quickly kind of looking it up here, so chat amongst yourself. So how what like so that's what I was going to say, like how was your Half Nelson? There you go. Watch that film. It's a
Half Nelson.
great film. It was out like 2006, so you know, quite a while ago now. But what was was your drinking? You weren't drinking actually at school in front of the kids or anything like that. You were just mostly doing it at home and then going in hungover, or how was your habits?
Yeah, Jimmy. So like that was always like a rule. Like never ever between the hours. You know, when I'm actually implementing the curriculum, teaching any kind of. If I'm on, I'm on. That being said, though, like I'm not gonna lie to you, I was going home right at 2:30, waiting for the bell to ring so I could get into my car and drink a giant like a like a Nalgene bottle or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I would fill it up with straight vodka.
In the
I would
car.
in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take like a just to get the because at that point I was drinking so much every day, every night rather, and it was I was getting I was getting like I was actually getting like physically addicted to it, and
Hmm.
so I would have to like just take a quick like chug just to make my nerves go down, not like get like fucked up and drive
No, no,
home. I
no.
wasn't
But to
what I was doing.
stop the withdrawals, man. Yeah, yeah,
Just stop the withdrawal symptoms, yeah,
yeah.
just the shakes and everything.
And how old were you at this point?
I was probably 29 at that
Jesus.
point when I was having physical dependency.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So I would do that, and then and then 2018 was like the job I was telling you about where it ramped up, and then in
Hmm.
2020, my wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, she was just my girlfriend. She was like, like you don't look good, and this is 2020, and I'm like, okay, well, what should I do? And there she was like, why don't you go get your stomach checked out because that's what the issues were, a lot of them. But
Hmm.
I looked bad. I put on like probably like 40 pounds, and my skin was really papery, and it had like I had a tint of yellow. It wasn't like completely jaundiced yet. I was just like a tint of it. So we go in. The doctor takes one look at me, and he's like, hey, like we do some blood labs on me. He could tell I was a drinker,
Hmm.
and he said to me, you're like, how much are you drinking? And I said, I have a couple of drinks a week. And he's like, you're drinking more than that. And he did like this thing. He actually did this thing to me. He's like, I see you. He's like, we're gonna have to detox you because you have hepatitis of the liver. This is 2020.
Jesus.
So yeah, man. So that was the news I got in 2020.
And
So
how old are you at this point? Sorry. Well,
yeah, I'm 30. I'm 30 at this point. I'm 32.
yeah. Okay. So you are sorry. You are a little bit younger than me. It's just I like to think I'm a young, youthful looking like yourself. There,
You
well,
are,
so,
Jimmy. You are a youthful looking pup.
45, but yeah. So you're 32 in 2020.
I'm 32 and yeah, 32 and 2020. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I, they detox me. I do a week, and then as I'm leaving, I have to go through all this like these protocols and things like that to get discharged. And the doctor who did the intake with me is watching me leave, and he stops me, and he said this really profound thing, and he's like, just so you know, and he looked at me and did this. He goes, just so you know. You are either going to be back here or you're going to be in a grave if you do not cut this from your life. And I was like, well, shit, man. Like, okay, like, I'll stop. So I did. So he's like, how are you going to maintain your sobriety? I'm like, I don't know. I just gave him an answer that I thought would work. I said AA, even though at that point I was still like reluctant. I was like a dry drunk in a sense, but that's what I did. So he said, you said those two things, you're either going to be back here or in a grave, or that's it.
And so, sorry to butt in, but like, can you explain to me and the listeners what is hepatitis of the liver? So is this cirrhosis or is it? I mean, I know hepatitis is kind of
hepatitis is like the precursor to liver cirrhosis. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you get hepatitis of the liver, you typically are doing something like you're drinking way too much, and you're beating it up to the point where it's now infected.
Yeah.
And it's slowly degrading. But that's when most people stop, right? So that's what I did. I was like, okay, well, here we go. Like, time to stop drinking. So I looked at my wife and I said, no more drinking. So I did 125 days sober. And it was like the hardest 125 days sober I could ever imagine. Like, I was white knuckling in it. I didn't have a support system.
So you didn't do AA or anything? No, you were just.
I was doing AA, but I was doing it like reluctantly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was sitting in the back. I was like, not
Like, I'm
these
guessing,
guys.
and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like, it sounds like you were probably thinking, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to get whatever's going on with my liver fixed, and then I'm going to go and drink like a normal person again, because that's what I was kind of doing. Does that ring any bells, or not quite?
Yes and no. I knew that I did damage to my liver, and I knew I didn't want to continue on doing damage to my liver. That being said, though, I definitely didn't understand, or I didn't want it to understand the gravity of just how serious an hepatitis of the liver can be. So I did 3.5 months, 125 days, and I'm listening to the radio, and I hear this ad come on, and this ad was all about this new type of liquor called a Pink Whitney. They have it over here in the States, where it's basically pink lemonade with like a 30% alcohol concentration, so not that high. And I was like, okay, that was just in my head, like living rent free. My wife and we have a huge fight. It was all about money, which it was always about money, because even when I was drinking, it was always financially related. And it blows up. It's one of the worst ones we've had. And I just like, I don't know what happened. It was just, I didn't have the support system. I didn't have I didn't have that mindset yet. And the first impulse was, I have to drink. And I don't want to fuck up so bad. So I'm going to go and get that thing that's in my head, because I know that won't like spiral me out of control like it did with straight vodka. So I buy it. I felt so guilty about it. I was like, I can't believe I'm going to do this decision. Next thing I know, I'm like in front of the liquor store. I'm like, how did I even get here? I walk in. I feel like I'm like 18 with like a fake ID again. I'm like, just kind of doing this move. Like, don't want anyone to catch me. Don't want anyone to even know I'm doing this. Like, which is weird, because like no one knows I had even a problem at that point.
Yeah.
So I go in, I get the bottle, I buy it. And I don't even drink it right away. I actually take it home with me, and I leave it in a pile of socks for like 4 days.
Right.
Like clean laundry. I just leave it in a pile of like not folded laundry yet. As those 4 days continue on, the fight dissipates, but it gets sprinkled in with like every other part of our lives. And then next thing I know, it's like 4 days later, and I just had enough. And I'm like, well, nothing's getting better, nothing's getting improving, nothing, you know, everything's the same, and my wife is still mad at me, and it's just like, oh my God, I don't know how to deal with like this amount of stress and being so lost in my own self-worth, you know, that's how it
Well, you
felt.
do know how to deal with the stress, don't you? Because you've got your little friend there sitting waiting for you. That's how we deal with
Yeah,
stress in those
that's
days.
the stress
Yeah.
killer, right? That's the
Yeah.
ultimate
Yeah.
stress killer. The one that's always reliable. It's like
Oh,
toxic
without a doubt.
ex-girlfriend. You just text her, "What's up? You up?" You know, that's her. Alcohol. She's up, and
Yeah.
she's up all the time.
She's ready waiting. She's ready waiting, man. So yeah, and but like, it's almost like you've kind of, like, you knew it was, and you knew it was bad, and you knew you shouldn't be going there, but it was like you're almost like testing the waters to see like if things going to get better with my wife, is the argument's going to, but I don't know, but you maybe, it's almost like it's calling you. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, it's not getting better, so I'm going to go for that. And it's, what else would you do? You know, I
Yeah.
totally
And you
hear
hear
it.
that a lot with a lot of people when they relapse. It's like, well, my life isn't improving, so why wouldn't I just like continue
Yeah,
living a life in,
misery.
yeah, misery?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what happened, man. So I remember like the second I made the decision, that when the thought came in my head to open the bottle, so I have the fight, grab the bottle, and the bottle's like cold, which was like really strange because it's been a week. And I brought it up to my lips, and the second the alcohol touched my tongue, man, I'll never forget it. It was like a feeling of like, what did you just do? How could you just do that? So the guilt was immediately already there, and this will end up probably killing you. That's like honestly like I had like that foresight. I almost, that was like that profound clarity that you get in those moments of decision making when you do something that is not in your best interest.
Hmm.
So that's what happened. I drank, and it was like the second it hit my tongue, man, it was almost like those 125 days just completely didn't exist. Like everything I learned, all those hardships and like fighting through it and like white knuckling it and doing the right things for those 125 days didn't matter. It was like, oh my God, it's back in me. Now I'm going. Now it's like almost like a challenge. Now I'm like so mad that I had this guilt built up that I have to continue to drink more just to like prove to myself what a fuck up I am.
Self-sabotage, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what happened, man. So from 20, so after that was so 2020. So now we're looking at 2023, and
And
my
was
drinking.
this, at what part in 2020 was this? Because obviously that was COVID times. You know, that was,
COVID was,
yeah.
yeah,
So when you drank that, was it Pink Whitney? Was
pink.
that Pink Whitney? When was that, during COVID, or was it just before COVID? So like, what time of the year was it when that?
It was right during COVID,
Right during COVID.
in
Yeah.
the right in the sweet spot. This was like right when I was leaving that. Well, I was still teaching actually that job, the one I was describing to you, the one in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
North
Yeah.
End. So I was, and this is remote now, so I'm at home teaching the kids. This is like
Mm.
March, April, and now I'm getting away with being. Now I am drinking. Now I am
Yeah.
drinking at home and
Yeah. Yeah.
doing
Because
my job.
you're on Zoom or whatever, and you can just like have a little mug with gin or vodka, whatever's in it. You know, that's where all
Yeah,
the
and the
tea.
time I would start drinking would get earlier and earlier, which was like really scary because my wife would go to work at like
Yeah.
7 a.m. and then here I am, just it's 11, and pretty much that's the end of the day for me because like I've already had three of my periods, and then I'm not going to see the kids I just saw on Zoom like again because I was their history teacher, so it was like
Yeah.
there's only so much history I can like give them in that day. So
Yeah.
I would give them homework, I would correct their homeworks and stuff like that. I was still doing my job, but I wasn't. I was a contradictory person. I was not living a life of honesty, and that really messed me up, man. And
And how did because obviously your wife's coming home from work. Like I'm guessing when you drank the Pink Whitney that first time when you broke your sobriety, she didn't really know because you probably hid it quite well. How did it go on with you through the day? Were you crafty at hiding it, or
Jimmy, I was like a mad scientist with hiding it. I was like, I was like with like Bunsen beakers and like the burn like Bunsen burners and beakers and stuff like that, like getting the
yeah,
right
yeah,
amount just to get fucked up just enough so she wouldn't notice when she got in from work. But
Yeah.
that was a losing game, man. I lost that game every single time. Like I always thought I would have it under control by the time she would get back. And
Mm.
I'd be like, I'm good. I look at myself in the mirror like 10 minutes before she got in, like, do I look fucked up? Do I look fucked up? And 100%, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I can get away with it. And nah,
Yeah.
she would be like, what's up with you? Did you drink or something? It was
Yeah.
so sad. It was so depressed. It was such horrible times, man. Like I look back at those times of just like despair and anguish and just completely, instead of like evolving as a person, just de-evolving, just going backwards, taking
Yeah.
major steps
And I
back
don't
in the
know,
relationship, everything.
but it's the sad part of like, like with my ex, when she would say, like when she knew it was a problem and I'd say I'd given up and then I'd relapse and all that, and she'd be like, have you been drinking today? And then it was like almost this anger, frustration of her, of being caught, the guilt of being caught, that I would instantly just lie and say, of course not. And then that would be
Yes.
like even more obvious because I'm being
Yes.
aggressive,
Defensive.
or angry. And it's like, and then I'm basically lying to them and making them out that they're talking rubbish. And it's like, but they know straight away because they know exactly what you're like as a person sober to
Yes.
then when you've had a drink. And
Yeah,
it's just
isn't that
horrible.
weird? Like why we like, it's like our guard gets up and we get so defensive because you're gonna get in the way between us and our alcohol, and
Yeah.
that's like the last thing that we want, right? So
Yeah.
once that person interjects and honestly calls you out on your bullshit, our first instinct, no matter what, is to be like, no, like, and making it so
Yeah.
fantabulous, whatever, that it's like, no way.
Like, how dare
You
you?
don't trust me? Like, you use like really reverse psychology, like sociopathic tendencies, like tactics to kind of get under them and to kind of push their buttons because you know them so well. So you know how much like you can probably like, keep pushing, keep pushing. But as long as it doesn't interfere with your drinking, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
deep
yeah.
down, man, I'm suffering. I am like dead inside as this is going on. I'm like, can't sleep. I'm just, I feel like such a loser. I feel like the biggest disappointment to her because she's such a great person, and I'm just like dragging her down in the mud with me. So there's that constant guilt trip going on of just feeling like a terrible person all the time, and then the alcohol just exponentially makes that even worse because it's putting a depressant on top of this depressant person,
Yeah.
and when that happens, it's like an F5 tornado, hitting
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it is, it's a massive depressant, and but we defend it to the ends of the earth. We don't want to, like the last thing, I mean, obviously at this point, she knows, like, how long were you married at this point or together?
This is so 2020. So we got married in 2018, so 2 years.
So 2 years, yeah. So you guys are just new, you're just kind of
Newlywed.
like starting out
Mm.
in life, yeah. And then suddenly she knows you've had a drinking problem because obviously you've got hepatitis of the liver, and then you've relapsed and you're lying about that, and she's seeing this, and it's like, do you know what I mean? Like having to put up with that, and it's almost
That
like you're defending the thing that's killing you over your amazing, beautiful wife. Do you know what I
yes.
mean? The person that you love, and it's like,
Like the
why
only
would
good
you
thing
do
in
this?
my life at that point was her. And there I am pushing her, like
Yeah,
actively pushing her away with my behavior. It wasn't like I was like crazy angry drunk and I would like slapping her around. No, I was never a violent I wasn't like anything. It
no,
was
you're
like
emotionally
it was
pushing her away.
psychological
Yeah,
warfare what I was doing to her.
yeah,
I was not reliable. I wasn't showing up in the relationship 50-50. I was coasting with alcohol in my system, being nice to her, of course, but like not showing up, not being present, not being like alive, not living a life that is supposed to be lived. Like I was living in a life of fog. Yeah, it was
yeah.
really
And
sad, really scary too.
do you know what? Like, I mean, obviously alcohol's to blame here, and it wants you on its own. It doesn't want you to have any connections, or it did the same to me. But that whole time with COVID as well was just horrendous. I don't know how I would have coped. I think we spoke about this on your podcast, but I don't know
Yeah.
how I'd have coped getting the booze in, hiding the booze, and doing all that. I'd have probably just kind of, well, I mean, it was just before COVID, but I left, and I probably would have tried to do the same thing then, because I was like, ain't nothing getting in the way of this, you know. But how did it kind of develop with you through, once she kind of knew that this was going on? Did it kind of just, you carried on, and it was kind of this unspoken
Well,
out thing, or?
yeah, Jimmy, we'd have these big blow up fights, right? And then, like, as the days would go on, the week would go on, you know, she would get less and less mad at me because of life would get in the way, just like her job and everything. So, but then that would just give me a little bit of freedom to kind of
Yeah.
like, okay, well, she's not paying attention just yet, right now, this very second.
Mhm.
So let me go to the store, let me get the biggest 1.75 milliliter bottle that they have, drink this was crazy, man. So I would get one of those giant bottles. We call them a handle here, which people are always confused about what that means. It's just because you can hold it with a handle. It's so big.
Yeah. But it's like 2 liters or something, or maybe even
Yeah, it's two.
three
It's like
liters.
two. Yeah, it's like two jugs of like milk, man, of vodka, and I was drinking
Yeah.
half of the bottle every single day. Every single day, I was drinking half of the bottle.
Yeah.
And the way I would do it is I'd get the bottle. I would have it all pre-set up, man. I would have half those big Gatorade bottles. I
Hmm.
would drink half of it, or I would just toss it because I didn't even want it. And then I would just take my big bottle of vodka and just like a scientist, just like fill up all the Gatorade bottles all around, and then I would strategically place them in places that I know that my wife would not be had the potential to find out, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I was living like. I was living in such fear of myself, like my actions, like how much I was drinking. It was crazy. It was so scary. It was so scary because like I was so strategic in my ways, but I would still get caught. Like because I don't care how good of an alcoholic someone could be or of hiding. No one's a good alcoholic to remember all the lies that they're telling or the hiding
No.
spots that they're putting these things in, or you know what I mean. Like no one
Or
has a
just how
brain.
you, or just how the alcohol affects you, because let's be honest, we're getting drunk, you know. So it's like, and I know you were like me, so it was like you were getting to the point where, like, I called it my sober level, where I would need to drink to stave off the withdrawal, and then I called it my sober level because I could function and I could do things. But she never saw me at that point. She would see me later on in the day when I'd gone way past that, and
Mm.
then, was drinking on top of like where my sober level was. And my sober level was like, it was like half a liter bottle of vodka, and I could then go out, do shopping, get a shower, have some food if I ever felt hungry. But then I would be topping up on top of that. And then when they came home from school and work, I'd either be passed out, or
Yeah.
I would maybe do it so that I was out having a walk, and then I would come in and go, "Oh, I've just been for a beer," or do you know what I mean? Just, but they could tell, and that's the thing. That's what you can't hide. Like, I'm hiding
Mhm.
bottles all over the place, like you, behind the stem of the sink in the toilet, or in the cistern.
I would hide it
All these
behind
things.
cereal boxes because I knew she didn't drink cereal. She didn't eat cereal. Like she's a health nut, so she eats.
Will, when I was with my ex, and like, she had 2 kids, so we had a bunch of cereals lined up, and one of my hiding places was in the bran flakes, because I knew that they wouldn't touch the bran flakes. That was healthy cereal. They wouldn't even go near that. And I think I did it there as a joke one time. I was like, oh, I could probably hear her coming, and I was like, dumped it in there, and then like went back a couple of days later, or I don't know, whenever, and it was like, oh yeah, it's still there. The kids haven't, and they're never going to go near that. So yeah, it was, and it was hidden all over the place, but they still knew, you know.
Yeah, and she would find it. She would open. She would just see a water bottle, and like it got to the point where she caught me so many times putting into water, like Poland Spring water bottles or whatever. Those like whatever. She
Yeah,
would caught me so many times that she would like have to open up water bottles and be like, "Is this okay to drink?" You know what I mean? Like that's fucked up, man. Like that's like the hell I was like making her have to experience because of my insane alcohol use disorder. It was just out of control. And now my tolerance was at an all-time like untouchable high. Like I already had a high tolerance, and now it was like exponentially at the highest level it could be. I was drinking like a half of a bottle of just like a normal vodka bottle, whatever, and they would just make this go away, and all of a sudden it would be like, okay, there we go. Now I can go
yeah,
teach. Now I can go back to work. Now I can go do this. So that obviously is not sustainable, right? So as this is all going on, now I'm getting physically sick. I can actually feel. So I was driving into work one day and I had my seatbelt on, and it was cutting into my liver. It was like I was so big, I was so full of ascites at this point. I had so much
Oh
fluid
God,
built up.
right. So you,
Yeah,
yeah.
my skin was all paper yellow. My eyes at this point now were dark yellow. It was very obvious to everyone around except to yours truly here. I was in that much of a denial, and so there I am. I'm dealing, still drinking as much as I can, and then it just, my wife, she took one look at me. My aunt, this is like right around Easter of 2022,
So this has been
and
going on for like 2 years, basically. This whole having arguments and then it kind of settling down, and but she's aware you're drinking. It's this unkind of spoken about thing until there's a big blow up, and then boom. But you're getting on with life, and life's in the way, and you're married, so
well, I'm not really getting on with life though, man. Like
no, no, sorry, but yeah,
I didn't get invited back to that school because one, I didn't want to go back to that school. It didn't pay
yeah,
anything in whatever. So when they didn't even offer me the job back, I was like, oh, so I just got like fired. That's pretty much what that was. But I'm looking at it like an opportunity. I don't have to go back. But
of
then
course,
again, now I don't have any money. So what the fuck do I do? So now I'm like freaking out. So I go, okay, well, I got to figure out something to do with my life that like will not let me drink because this is such an issue now. So the brilliant idea comes into my head. I'll drive Uber in the meantime and just because you can't drink if you're driving Uber. That's the
no,
whole point of Uber. Some people
yeah,
can drink and get in your car, and then you. So I knew that. So I'm like, okay, well, this will force me not to drink. It worked for about a week. After I realized it kept bringing me back into Boston, and I don't know if you've been to Boston, but driving around Boston is a freaking nightmare, man. Like, it's just rotaries, one ways. It's awful. So it kept bringing me back in there. I have like crazy anxiety already. I can't drink because I'm driving. So it's like, what do I do? So I stopped doing it. So I just was lying to my wife now. Now I'm lying to her. I'm saying, hon, like, oh, I couldn't get any rides today. I would start with that bullshit lie. Like, oh, I couldn't find anyone. What am I talking about? There's plenty of people. All you just do is turn the thing on and then you get rides.
yeah,
I was doing that. I was saying these lies because I was so addicted to alcohol that I couldn't do the job. And because of the anxiety of having to drive right into Boston every single time. So
yeah, and
now
do
it
it
got to the
sober.
point where I was like, okay, now I'm just going to drink. I'm going to pretend that I'm at work. So what I would do, and this is so sad and depressing. And I hate talking about this part, but it is true. And someone out there listening and watching, they're going to be like, oh my God, like I've done that, or I've done something similar. So I would get the bottle. I would have it all set up for the week. They would already be pre-planned out in my hiding spots, either in my apartment or in my car. Usually in my car because that's mobile and I can get around with that. So I would
And
have,
you
I
have
would,
to pretend, keep up the pretense that you're going to
yeah,
work, kind of thing.
yeah. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
bringing any money home, so she was suspicious. Like,
No, yeah,
where's the half of your rent this month? And I'd be like, oh, I couldn't get any rides or whatever. It's like, but this is what I was doing. So I would get up, I would leave before she left for work, just to like prove to her that like, look at me, I'm such like I'm outgoing. I'm putting my my hard work in showing you. And
yeah,
I would get up, leave for her, and then I would go into my car, say goodbye away from the window, and then I would just drive down, get out of her view, pull into a side street, and sit for like 6 hours and just drink. And just drink. And to the point where I would pass out, and then I would get in the back seat and take a nap and drink. I knew I couldn't. I knew that driving and going anywhere that'd be scary because then I have all this alcohol in my system. Then I got to drive, and I don't want. I already had that one DUI from college. I'm not gonna, and I don't want to put anyone else in harm's way. So I'm just gonna go to that side street, which is like 50 feet away, 50 yards away, or whatever from the place, from our apartment. Do all that, and then what I would do is I would take a nap just long enough to know that for her to text me, I'm home. Where are you? Oh, I'm just getting back from a ride, and then I would take literally not do anything all day, be on that side street drinking, and I would drive my car right back to the parking spot that I was in 50 feet from 9 hours ago.
Well, I did exactly the same thing. I was so many jobs that I kind of some that I started by not going in and then going and doing that, but then it became like my full time bag. Do you know what I mean? I would just get up, go out in the car before her and the kids, and drive around the corner. Sometimes I drive a bit further,
Yeah.
because I knew these car parks that like no one went to,
Yep.
and but I remember one time I was sat in this car park, and I think I'd woken up from having a nap like yourself, and there was a police van over the other side of the car park, and I'm like, oh
Oh
shit,
no.
and then
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm not actually driving the car, and then eventually the van went. They didn't know. They thought, like, I think there were some lorry drivers, truck drivers that would come and park up and sleep, before their next shift and all that kind of stuff. But I was doing exactly the same as you. And it's just
Yeah.
sad because, like, I wasn't doing anything in the car. I wasn't being creative. I wasn't, you know, writing songs or writing my book or doing, I was just literally sitting there,
Yeah.
turning maybe the car on for a bit to listen to the radio or charge my phone and then turn it off so I didn't flatten the battery of the car. But it's just sad,
I
isn't it?
remember like I would spend. This is gonna sound like, oh my, like what? But I would just get to a point. I would put on like a music or song that reminded me of who I used to be. A memory, and I would just sit there and weep. I would cry, man. I would just like put my head on the steering wheel, like, the fuck am I doing with my life? Like, what is this? I can't believe I'm at this place right now. I'm a college educated person. I've been a teacher for, at that point, 12 years straight. Where is the disconnect? Where is my identity right now? What is my purpose in life? Besides my wife, there really wasn't. I had nothing else that was going on that was good, that I felt fulfilled, or just increased my self-worth or my lack of insecurity. Like, there was none of that anymore. And then I
And the
started
sad
drinking. Yeah.
the sad thing is, Will, like, you're in the US and I'm over here. Well, I was in the UK at the time. It's like how many people are doing that today, right as we speak, that are
Yeah.
like got a lovely wife or husband at home with kids, and then they're going out lying and saying that they're going to work when they're just going around the corner or a little bit down
True.
the street, hiding in their car or whatever else and just drinking. And it's like, just get home and explain to your loved ones what the fuck is going on, and
Yeah. But
you'll be okay.
I know you'll be fine. Like, you'll
You'll
be
be
fine.
fine.
You'll be in
Yeah.
a way better position if you just do that. Like, you just
Just
do the
do
thing
that.
that deep down you just gotta ask for help, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's so, I don't understand why humans are so reluctant to just ask for freaking help, man. That's all you gotta do. If you're struggling in anything, no one's gonna be like, don't ask me for help. Like, no one's going to say that, especially when it's like a mental health or an addiction to something, right? Because everyone can relate to that somewhere or another. Even the best people who are the highest performing people have had streaks of months of drinking way too much, so they can like relate to that. So they're not going to judge you. Like, that's not going to happen. They're just going to help you. And
Exactly.
but it's so hard for us to admit that we have
Yeah.
major
And at
faults.
the time, like I'm sure with you it was with me, like I just thought that was it was the only thing that made me feel good at that time, even though it wasn't really, do you know what I mean? But it was what I needed. It was my medicine kind of thing. And it was
Yeah.
like, this is what's keeping me kind of going, because everything else in my life is shit. Everything else in my life was shit because of my drinking. So where did that go from there with you? I mean, how long did you kind of do that? Keep that up?
Until I couldn't do it
Yeah.
anymore. So
Yeah.
there's some pictures that I don't know if you've ever seen on my page and stuff of me, what I looked like. I was 265 pounds. I'm 170 now, so think about that.
Yeah.
Almost
And
double.
was that the ascites? Yeah.
Yeah, that's all the ascites. My
Yeah.
face was still relatively skinny, but all the jaundice and all the ammonia buildup and the ascites and the fluid in my ankles were so swollen. I had to wear like like triple wide shoes. I had to like go to a specialty shoe store just because my ankles were so swollen that my feet couldn't fit into the shoe. So now I knew that my liver was gone. It was completely
Yeah.
cooked, and I was so scared to go to the hospital. But my wife was like, "No, you're going. You're going.
Mhm.
You have to." So I go there. The doctor, thank God, I didn't see the one I saw from 2020, but I saw the team of people that I recognized, and once they saw me in there for the same reason, they didn't treat me, let's just say, kindly, and I didn't deserve to be treated kindly. So I went in. They said they did a bunch of blood labs. My bilirubin was like, it's supposed to be like anything above like a point 1 point whatever 6 or something. If you are
Mhm.
anything north of that is alarming. I was like 32, 33. It was
Jeez.
astronomically high. And then they had the MELD score. So as I walk in, they're doing all the labs, and they actually do my blood labs, and they notice that, like, it's so weird. So they had my wife and I sit in a room, and they told us that I had liver cirrhosis. But when I asked my wife about, like, when this happened, how did it all go down, she was so shocked and in like a trauma state, and so was I, that, like, we both don't remember them actually telling me about the cirrhosis. We just had it documented on paper, and obviously I'm the living proof of that just by looking at me. I'm dying. So when we went in, we met the hospital that I was at. They wouldn't transplant me because they just wouldn't. They wouldn't do it. You had to be 6 months sober, and I was 4 at this point. So those two. So yeah, I went in. They did all the labs. They realized that my kidneys weren't working. So they're like, we have to put you on dialysis. So they put me on dialysis right away. Now I'm there, I'm meddling, and they're just doing, like, kind of like preventative care at this point, because they won't transplant me, and I'm 4 months sober at this point, but I have to be 6. So now hospice is in the room. My parents are now welcomed into the picture, and they're, like, just as confused as like my wife is, or, you know, anyone else to that matter. And they're like, what's going on? Like, what happened? Like, what is he doing? You know, there's a lot of that in my dad's face. I'll never forget when they said liver cirrhosis, and then they said he has 2 weeks to live. That's what they said to him. In my mother's face, like, she just, like, didn't know how to understand that, and I knew it was coming. I knew she was going to say something like that. But even when she made it abundantly clear that I had a 2-week time frame of death or a miracle, I was like, well, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what I'm saying. The floor fell underneath my feet. I heard, like, that Charlie Brown, like, woo, 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 like, as if that's how people were talking around me. I was in a wheelchair at this point, too, when I heard the news, because I couldn't get up. My legs were so swollen, my ankles, my body was just in pain all the time. So, and my dad wouldn't even look at me in the eye. It was so horrible, man. It was awful. He was so disappointed. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. So we get so my wife, my mother is like, get hospice out of here. Like, he's not dying. Like, we're gonna do whatever we have to do. So my wife is calling to different hospitals all over the country, trying to find some kind of program that would, like, admit me. And no love. And then, like, this one doctor, I asked her, like, earnestly, like, can you help? Can you just, like, make a call? And she's like, no, like, that's not what we do here. If we're not going to transplant you here, like, I don't know what you're even doing here. And I thought she was such a jerk thing to say. I was like, I can't believe this woman who's just telling me to die, pretty much. But little did I know, she was like an angel in disguise. She called one of her colleagues that worked out here in Western Massachusetts that she helped train become a surgeon. And she, like, told her about my situation, which then she told me to give this transplant clinic a call. They actually called me at 6 a.m. the next morning, like, just by an act of the grace of God. I pick up, hi, is this Mr. Gordon? Yeah, okay. Why don't you come on in for an evaluation? And that's when I went in. That's when they told me the 2-week situation. So that's what happened. So they're like, you have to get a liver transplant. You're gonna die. And my parents, they were in disbelief. So I say, okay, well, what do I have to do? Like, what's the process like? And then, like, there's just so much that goes into it. Like, you have to like totally become vulnerable, like, honestly, authentically vulnerable. Talk about how you got to this point. Talk about, like, every single issue in your life, like, and be honest about it. Like, you have to prove your case to these very intelligent board of people who make this really important decision of giving an organ to somebody who desperately needs it with the right intentions. Yeah. So I did that. I told them everything that, like, I did, and I was super remorseful, and I was weeping, and I had tears, and I was coughing because I was like, it just felt freeing to finally admit to the world, to everyone, that, like, I do have a problem, and I'm finally saying it out loud. But a little too late, man. Like, you're in the room waiting now to die. So I go on the list. By the grace of God, again, they put me on the list, and then next thing I know, man, I'm saying my goodbye to my family. I'm saying goodbye to all my friends and everything. And I'm saying, if I don't wake up because I'm really sick, I love you. It's been real. And I'm so sorry I did this to myself. And I'm sorry if I treated you poorly. So I go down the transplant. I went to bed on a Monday. I woke up on a Thursday. That's how sick I was. There's so many complications. Yeah. So to make the story not too much longer, we get up. We get up. The surgery goes well. I wake up. The picture that you see on my YouTube channel page, the first video of me like dead, that's me immediately waking up from the liver transplant. I look like depleted, like all like the water kind of like was rinsed out of me, but I look horrible. I look like I'm on my deathbed. My eyes are so yellow. My skin is. I look like a different race of a human. And so we're doing so I wake up. I can't believe I'm awake, and I just grab my wife's hand, and I just look at her, and we just start crying. And I go, like, hon, I don't know how I got here, but I know that you stuck around with me for a reason, and that reason is because I love you and you love me. And from this point moving on, I will never put you in a situation like this again. I will never make you have to endure the bullshit that I made you have to go through because of my insecurities and lack of discipline. And we just wept and hugged, and we just couldn't believe I was alive. Cut to 3 weeks later, I'm in the rehab process of like learning how to walk again, learning how to get off the wheelchair and into like a standing thing and get my feet moving and get my body all ready to move again. And as that's rehabbing and everything's going well, I all of a sudden just get this wave of like, what is wrong? Something's wrong. I'm not bleeding. Nothing's wrong. The nurses come over and they see me and I look strange. I just look off, and they're like, oh God, he's having like organ rejection or something. They bring me into the ER, back to the hospital I just got discharged at, because I was at a rehab facility now. They bring me back to the ER in the hospital. I just had the liver transplant. They do some labs. They go, oh my gosh, like, so my stomach burst, whether that because of the alcohol use, because of the pain medication they were giving me, because of the severe like damage I did to the lining of my stomach ruptured. Feces, piss, everything just went all through all my body, and now I'm in septic shock. So now it's like a 12 to a 24-hour period of, we don't know if he's going to die now. So they told my wife, why don't you just go in and say goodbye in case, that's how real it got, man. And I'm like out of it. I'm like, I'm going to die. I can't believe I'm going to die after I just went through all this. One of the surgeons, this guy, Dr. Lawrence Bellin, genius, he goes, I have an idea. He's like, if you're up to it, let's try it. So he took my stomach, stapled it shut, put it to a different part of my body on the right side. It's called an ileostomy procedure. I started, instead of my colon, which was now, cut because it perforated, they had to glue it back up, sew it shut, put it to the side of my body so I could go to the bathroom this way. I wake up, it's a success. As he's explaining this whole thing to me, he said there's about a 4% chance of survival during this whole process. That's because I was so immunosuppressed. I was on dialysis. I was just recovering from a liver transplant after being like a 40 on the MELD score. And we can get into what that is, but that's just it maxes out at 40. And then yeah. So this is all happening. I'm now saved. I asked the doctor, am I going to have to like shit in a bag for the rest of my life? He's like, you might, but we'll see how your progress goes. You're relatively young. We'll see how you look in like 6 months or so.
Yeah.
So all that during that 6 month period, I'm going to dialysis. I have all this time, and dialysis is 3-4 times a week, 4-hour sessions. It's just brutal, man. You're surrounded with old people. They're basically dying around you. You're just in your own head thinking about all the mistakes, transgressions you've done to others throughout the years because of your drinking abuse. It's like awful. But I started to like forgive myself. I'm like, I can't keep living with this weight of guilt and shame, and I'm just dying, and I'm on dialysis, and I'm like what's happening? Like, am I gonna get a kidney transplant? Like, I have to fix this thing first. So 6 months go by. They're like, okay, you're healthy enough. Let's try it. They do the reversal process. It's called a reversing an ileostomy procedure. They take my stomach, they unglue it, they put it right back to my lower bowels, they glue it back up, they get rid of the bag. The stoma will always be there, but it'll just kind of like a scar tissue scar. And then they had like the stoma, and then like the I forget the name of the other thing. But anyways, so that's going on there. I have it. They reversed it. It was painful as hell, like crazy painful. I don't even like remember the how many days I was there. I think it was like over 2 weeks or something. But it hurt like hell to make yourself think about it. You have to put your body, your bowels, and your organs and your colon back together so you can
Yeah.
go to the bathroom normally like a normal person. So it worked. Oh my god, I was like thrilled. I was thrilled it worked. So finally, I'm like, okay, what else is on deck? Like, what do I have to do? And it was like, okay, 6 months, 6 to 9 months later, uh, March 15th, 2024. That's when I got the kidney transplant. May 2nd, 2023 is when I got the liver. So this was all going on through that entire chunk from 23 to 24. I get the kidney transplant in March 15th, sorry, I keep forgetting. March 15th, 2024. And that was, I thought, the end of it. I'm getting better. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take my pain and put it all towards purpose now, man. I'm gonna have substantial like purpose in my life again. It's gonna be a good experience. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my life. Everything's gonna be great. But little did I know, like the more I started feeling better, the more I started like exercising, I started to look like myself. Like I got in the best shape of my life. I was like doing all the things. I was like good running learn to cope meetings. I was going to AA. I was going to like recovery centers and doing public speaking things. And then I started my YouTube channel. And then as I'm working out and getting stronger, I noticed like a hernia would pop up, then another hernia, then another one, then another one. And I had 5 of them, one of them being 10 centimeters big because they opened you up so many times from the liver transplant and the kidney transplant. And this crazy, man. So there I am. Like, I can't believe I'm still alive. Like, this is
Yeah.
insane. And now I'm on this journey of helping others. And the second I went from being a selfish person to a person with purpose, drive, and ambition, that's when things got better for me. And
Yeah.
and yeah, man. And this last 2 years, 2.5 years now, because I've been sober, January 29th, 2023 is my date.
Yeah.
That's where we're at now, man. Like now life is very different. I'm a lot more busy, a lot more grateful. I practice like mindfulness. I practice meditation. I am grateful for every single thing that I have in my life, whether it's a cup of coffee, opening a fridge and there's food in it, knowing that there's not negative money in my bank account. There's actually like there's not much, but there's like more than it was before. I'm not making foolish decisions. I'm not letting my wife down. I'm not letting my parents down, my brothers, my friends. I can just be like at peace. And that peace is unnerving at first, but the more you experience peace, it's like letting your shoulders down. It's like a relief,
Yeah.
man. Like every day now, it's like I
Yeah.
was putting in, like so much work to hide my drinking that I feel so free now. I feel like
Yeah.
just a different version of who I am. And I'm so grateful for the selfless donors that, and their loved ones and their families. Like I write letters to the donors every year, hoping that there'll be some kind of correspondence. And
Yeah.
I got a letter back saying that the kidney donor would like to have some kind of relationship, but the liver donor's family does not, which is understandable. I can totally
Yeah. I
get it.
mean,
But I'm going
it's
to keep sending letters every year just to tell them how
yeah,
appreciative I am of their loss first and
and their
foremost,
gift.
and of course of me being able to continue and then advocate for how severe of a problem this
Yeah.
this can be. Yeah.
I mean, well, it's just it's an overwhelming story of tragedy and then hope. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but what got me is like when you're saying when you went into that hospital and they were kind of giving you a hard time because you've done this to yourself. You should never feel like that, man, and they should never make you feel like that because this is a disease or an affliction that we haven't caused ourselves. Do you know what I mean? We didn't ask this to happen. Yeah, we did open our mouths and take the booze in, but like it's out there for people to consume free and willy-nilly. Do you know what I mean? That's where the problem is. The problem is that People aren't aware how dangerous this substance is. That's the issue. It's not about us consuming it. We're as a in the globe, you know, apart from countries that don't drink, this is something that is kind of ingrained into us from an early age. It's on the billboards, it's on the TVs, it's on the radio, it's everywhere saying you need to drink if you're having a good day, bad day, or, you know, celebration. Drink, drink, drink. So of course, you know, some of us are going to end up with issues with it because it's a drug, and you know, that's the thing. But again, in the hospitals, they are making people feel like, oh, you've done this to yourself, so you're going to wait at the bottom of the line until we see you. But whereas some other disease that someone's got where they need a transplant, oh my God, like, get them in. Let's give them all the love and attention. We need to get them top of the list to get this you know, donor in and get their transplant. Whereas with alcohol, nah, you're thought of as being this like lower than low, and that's so wrong, you know.
The amount of shit, because I'm so active on message boards, especially on like the Facebook message boards, where like liver support group is a thing I'm in, like no judgment liver support, liver transplant support group, like liver cirrhosis. I'm in all of these groups, and like the amount of shit that we get from, I'm saying we here with the people who are recipients, that we get from people who are like, you know, I can't believe you took a liver from someone who is deserving of it, and like it's like hateful, horrible things that people are just have no clue on what they're talking about. Like you have no idea what I was going through in my brain, friend. You know, like I was dying in the inside. I was a mess. I hated who I was. I wasn't enjoying any of this. This was torture. I was living a Groundhog Day style of hell. Just a constant reminder of what a piece of shit I am on a daily basis. And yeah, like please be a little more, you know, anyone out there listening, please be a little more gentle in your consideration of how you judge someone's mistakes that they've made in their life. That'd be a really nice thing if people could be a little more forgiving and understanding and just compassionate towards like the turmoil of someone else's endeavors, you know. Just don't.
But the interesting, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and yeah, please do, people that are listening. But these keyboard warriors, you know, sat at home behind the computer that are going on forums that don't really concern them, just to kind of troll people.
It's like, why are you in here? Like, why are you in this group right now? Just to piss people off.
But they're probably sat there with some alcohol, you know, and they might not think they've got a problem with it, but then they're going on there because, let's be honest, the majority of people that are trolling people, they probably don't do that sober. They probably get the gumption up because they've, you know, got a bit of Dutch courage from the alcohol to go on and go, I'm gonna teach these people a lesson and all that. And that's you know, I know I'm sweeping statement and saying that they're all drinking, but let's be honest, you know, people that sit at home with nothing much else to do, and apart from going online and trolling people, are probably having a drink, you know, and probably got a drinking problem. But
I mean, those people, those are sad people. Anyone that's like intentionally going out of their way to either like lessen the importance of whatever someone's trying to talk about, or like just have a go at it with like just shitting on them like intentionally, that's, go get a job, man. Go do something productive with your life. Like, you're not doing anything that's like meaningful or has any kind of like positive impact on the world. You're just making like it just gross. You're just doing gross behavior, immature gross behavior that you should grow out of by now.
Yeah, they're just a waste of space and breathable air. What I mean, apart from obviously all the good things that you just said there, you know, happy marriage and, you know, friends and family around you and all that. What does the kind of transplant, like, what kind of, are you on a lot of medications? You don't have to do dialysis anymore. What kind of medical things are you still kind of having to do because of the transplant?
So now I'm good. So I just had a major surgery a month ago called the transversal abdominal release from all those hernias I was telling you about. Sure, so they just did a whole thing called TAR surgery, where they went underneath my lower abdominal wall. They cut the sides of both sides of my abdominal wall. Super invasive. They had to though. And then they take my abdominal wall and a giant layer of mesh, like from here to here, and they just wrap it around your whole abdomen, and then they put like your skin on top of it, and then they sew it back up where your incisions were, and it was brutal, man. It was awful. Yeah. But now I'm a month and a half out of it, so I'm feeling like way more like myself again. So which is awesome. Yeah. But that was the last big medical thing. Now it's just maintenance. So now it's just making sure I'm taking my meds, and making sure that I'm not missing any times. Like that's a big part of transplant life that a lot of people struggle with, is like knowing to never miss a dose, because the second you miss a dose, your chances of organ rejection, organ failure goes up, significantly. So
Wow.
yeah, so I'm very mindful of, like, I have apps on my phone that remind me time to take your tacrolimus medication, time to take your Cellcept, mycophenolate, you name it, man. Like there's so many immunosuppressant medications that we have to take for the rest of our lives too. This
Yeah.
doesn't just like get to go away. It's a new way of living, but I'll take this new way of living any day over what I was experiencing for a decade
Oh,
plus.
yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's the thing. It's
That's a
and
bargain.
so I mean, do you still go to AA and things like that? I know you're still heavily steeped in the recovery world with what you do with the podcast and that,
Yeah.
but do you still do AA and things like that, or?
Yeah, I do actually do. So like if I'm having like an overwhelming feeling of old version Will, and those cravings are popping in, and I'm like feeling
Mhm.
like, oh, I could probably like just have a beer, right? Like let me just see.
Yeah.
No, like those thoughts are dangerous thoughts, because it's not so much the act of the drinking, it's the thoughts that get you there in front of the liquor store to begin with, right? So you want to avoid all those things at all costs. So once the thought pops in, I pop in to a meeting.
Yeah.
Well, and there's four that I really like around this. I'm in the suburbs of Boston, so like there's like a bunch. There's a ton of them. So
Yeah.
I'll just I don't necessarily adhere to every single thing that AA preaches. I think there's a lot of good, more good than
Yeah.
bad for sure. Accessibility to being able to go to a safe space when you're feeling overwhelmed and driven to drink. I think that's just an incredible testament to what our human culture society has done, is give a place to people who are struggling and they'll feel safe in, right.
Hmm.
At the same time, there are moments of AA where I'm like, this is feels like dogma, this feels like a very cult like
Yeah.
things. But for the most of it, but then I still go, or I
Yeah.
pop into a learn to cope meeting, and I'll either be the moderator, or I'll be someone just like listening. But
Hmm.
I find that to be very beneficial, just to have that option to pop into a meeting whenever I need it.
Yeah.
And I know that'll piss off the hardcore AA people, because it's like, well, you're not doing the steps right. You're not doing the steps. It's like, well, I worked the steps for many, many years, and I wasn't, it wasn't working. It just wasn't
Yeah.
working. Now I'm
But
doing
you know
it
what,
like
Will?
because I want to do it.
Yeah. Honestly, man, what is it? 2.5 years today? You are?
It's not 2.5 today. It's like I'm actually 2 years and 8 months in right now.
Oh,
So
two 2 years and 8 months. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But
I just keep saying 2.5 because it's just easier.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, but it does get easier, man. Like, don't get me wrong. Like 5 years now, and honestly, I don't even get those thoughts anymore. And if I do, they're like fleeting and they're just gone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I know you obviously, and a lot of people listening would be like, "Oh my God, why is he still having these thoughts? He's been
Yeah.
through all of that. Like, he's probably patched up, like he's been in the wars and stuff, and he's had 2 transplants, and it's like, what the hell?" Like, why is he still thinking that? Because it's a disease and it's a drug, and once you've got past the physical dependency, the mental dependency, the mental kind of obsession is there for a long time. But honestly, man, for me, it does get easier. So a couple more years down the line, probably not even as long as that, and you'll be like, yeah, do you know what? Like I did well, I did NA religiously for a year, and then I was like, right, and there was a few factors, but I was like, right, I'm going to move on to phase two. I know it's there if I need it,
Right.
but again, like you, I was like, I don't know if all the kind of values with it are fitting with me anymore. But I used it, and it helped me get sober and stay sober. And then I was like, well, I'm going to do my own thing now, and I know that's still there if I need it, but I'm gonna try and do these other aspects. It wasn't like I'm gonna just stop going and then forget about recovery, because I've never done that. I mean, I probably deal more with recovery now than when I did back when I was going to NA. So,
Yeah,
it's not
and
that
that's
I've forgotten the message or anything.
right, and that's the thing. Like we're so heavily involved in this niche, right? This niche
Yeah.
of recovery, helping others. That it's like I am so up to my ears in recovery that it's like it's like yeah, you don't really have time for the you don't really have time to kind of sit in your head and contemplate, is this a good or bad decision? Because you just know deep down in your soul that you just can never drink again, and
Yeah.
that's comforting. It's almost comforting to know that like, oh, I just can't, so I won't.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can, but I won't.
You
Um,
won't. And there's there's not a day that goes past that I don't think about, you know, recovery, alcohol, and alcohol in the kind of sense of the whole thing that, you know, I did in the past, but like just there's not a day that doesn't go past that I don't think about recovery or people in recovery or putting a post on Instagram or where's my next podcast going to be, and do you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff. So it's just it helps keep me grounded, and it helps me not think, oh, I'm gonna have a drink today and I'll be fine, you know. That's not even a thought.
And and there's too much good going on in my life now. Like my relationship with my wife now, these past 2 years it's just night and day. Like we fight still, like, you know, typical marriage, but like
Of course.
the amount of fighting is down significantly. The amount of like bickering and complaining and like all that's down. Like everything, like I get psyched up for the weekends now for like the most simplest reasons. Like we're gonna go on a hike with the dog. We're gonna get like these awesome breakfast sandwiches someplace. We're gonna explore. We're gonna do this. We're gonna be active. We're gonna get some like exercise in. We're gonna hang out with the dog. We're gonna like see family. You know, anything like all these blessings that we have in our life that we're just not paying attention to most of the time, all of a sudden start to be meaningful and important again, which is like such a beautiful byproduct of what sobriety brings into our lives.
Without a doubt, man. And do you regret getting sober?
Saved my life. It's opened doors for me. It's saved my life. It's brought me into new friendships with interesting, cool people who are like-minded like me. Like there's the benefits of feeling alive without the encumbrance of alcohol and whatever substance that you're putting in your body, man. It's just it's unparalleled. Like you don't like to live a life how it was intended to be lived with joy and laughter and clarity and just peace of mind, man. That's the ticket, dude. That's what it's all about, man. That's what living's all about. It's not to escape. You're gonna have problems still. You're gonna encounter financial, you know, things and things like jobs and stuff are still barriers, and you gotta overcome them. But now you have the tools and you have the mindset that you can overcome these in a healthy way, and then be proud of yourself for doing it and not escaping your life and actually moving towards it, which is cool.
Without a doubt, man. I mean, totally hear you there. And lastly, Will, do you have a recommendation for a podcast, a book, or a film with regards to recovery? And obviously, you know, you can say our podcast as well, but I'll put it in the show notes anyway. So,
yeah, I'm a big fan of like a million different podcasts that I really like. That helps me kind of stay grounded. I know just from like a productivity point of view, like I really enjoy like Chris Williamson's and Stephen Bartlett's podcast, just because they talk about things like drinking. They talk about like a lot of men's issues, mental health, but they talk about everything under the sun that I find curious about. Anything they talk about, I love. But when I do get hooked on like Andrew Huberman, and he talks about like the psychology behind addiction, especially with alcoholism, and like he breaks down like how it's like a poison, how it's like acetaldehyde, which is a poison that goes into your brain, and then the brain rewires your neurons, and then those neurons rewire your behavior, and those behaviors then end up being your identity, which is like a thing I didn't even know. So it's like I am just so into it. I'm so full into like the neurochemistry of like what addiction is and stuff like that. And then we were talking off air about how I'm going back to the school for this very thing to become a licensed alcohol counselor. Yeah. So that'll be neat. That'll be neat. I never would have had that. I would never have had that drive or initiative before. No, that would have never happened.
And it just opens doors and just kind of makes us kind of not different people, but probably the people that we were also always supposed to be, that we had in us. But this just new kind of avenue of life has opened up, and it's just amazing. And I appreciate you, Will. I appreciate you, everything you're doing, and it's been such a joy having you on my podcast. So where can people find you on like Instagram, and what's the name of your podcast?
Yeah, so if people want to reach out to me, please do so. You can find me. Probably my home base would be my YouTube channel. It's growing by the day. It's called the Willpower Podcast with Will Gordon. I think you can actually just type in Will Gordon now in like the search bar on YouTube, and actually I think I pop up like the number one now, which is really cool. That's a really cool thing. Yeah, I finally got that because I just for my own podcast. I used to have to dig for it. Like,
Yeah.
where the hell? Because there's so many willpower podcasts. It's a common thing.
Yeah.
But they don't get my name. I got my name.
That's
But
nice.
yeah, so Willpower Podcast, Will Gordon, YouTube, put that in. I'm also on Audible, Spotify, Apple Podcast. If you're more of a, like a earbud person, like
Yeah.
that's fine. Do it that way too. But definitely that. And on Instagram, at the Willpower Podcast, all one word. And I just started TikTok a month ago. Still learning the ropes. It's that's at the Willpower Pod, and Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, is also at the Willpower Pod.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Will, for coming on. This will be episode 50, which is the last one of season 2 with After
Nifty,
Hours.
nifty,
So
closing on a good one, right, Jimmy?
yeah, I know. This is it. And then I'm gonna have a little break now. I'm still gonna be recording, but I'm gonna have a break from doing it. So it's gonna be nice. And I might even start. Well, I've started a book, but I'm gonna kind of. I haven't done anything from it for a long time, so I've just been kind of lazy on that. So I'm going to use this time between now and Christmas to kind of, get a good chunk of that done and find my footing on it again and really kind of get that going, get the
Yeah,
full steam ahead on it. So yeah,
that's really cool. That's admirable of you. Really courageous of you. I've thought about that myself, but I don't know if I have like the ethic to, the work ethic to kind of make it a reality. But I do. It's just a matter of getting what I need to get done before I
yeah.
move on to these other projects. But yeah, man, it's just an absolute blast talking to you, Jimmy. You're just such a genuine, kind, thoughtful, relatable person that I know is just going to continue to have so much success in this world, because authenticity is the connection to vulnerability, and vulnerability is a connection to everyone. So thank you, Jimmy, for what you're doing. It's really inspirational stuff. So keep it up, man.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. And yeah, it's just been an honor and a pleasure having you on, man. So yeah, have an amazing rest of your day, and we will catch up soon, buddy. You take it
You as
easy, mate.
well. Well, take care now. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers, Will. Bye bye. Bye bye. Well. Thank you so much for coming on and just being an amazing, hopeful person, full of so much positivity. After what you've gone through, just an amazing guy, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing. As I said, the similarities between Will and I, he called himself almost like a crazy mad scientist, like lining up the bottles of Gatorade and almost like food prep for the week. He's doing his booze prep for the week. And I didn't go as far as that. I wasn't as organized as that. Will's obviously quite a fastidious person that would do that. I would just go every morning up to the petrol station and get myself a half bottle, pour it into a water bottle, and go and sit in the car and drink all day with that. Obviously that wouldn't have been enough, and then I would have to wander to the shop and get some more, or some days it would be enough, but there was always that. And then pretending to be in line to my significant other, saying that I was going to work. Will was doing exactly the same thing, and then just sitting around the corner and waiting for time to go home, which is it's just sad. It's like, why did we get ourselves into such a state where the priority is doing that? It's not a life. I mean, I'm so glad that the I think it was about 2 years that I did that for, on and off. It wasn't like every single day, but it was about the same time for Will, 2 to 3 years, until he couldn't anymore, because obviously, he had ascites, and, the swelling of his shoes, the feet, that he had to get specialised shoes for. Like, I don't know if I would have gone straight to the hospital when things like that started to happen. I don't think I would have, because the addiction is so strong. And it was the same with Will until he had to go. It was really kind of just crack on, carry on, this is what my life is. And to be told kind of you're either gonna have to have a miracle, or it's hospice for you, but to have the backing of his family, his wife, and then just by some stroke of luck, miracle if you want to call it that, the universe looking out for him to kind of put his case forward and kind of be unheard of that someone at 4 months to be given a transplant rather than waiting the 6 months is just, you know. But as I said in the episode, like any other illness or disease, you put on the waiting list. But you know, if you're needing it there and then, and one comes up, then you're getting it. There's none of this. You have to be such and such for 6 months or this before you get it. Will didn't. I know he did it to himself, and I did it to myself. But it's not because we want to. We're not doing this to piss people off or to go, look at me, I don't care about my liver or my thing. They're doing it because they're addicted, and that's the painful, sad part of it, that we are treated like, you know, third-rate patients when it comes down to it. There is that blame game that we did this to ourselves. And yeah, we did do it to ourselves. We did open our mouths and pour the booze in, but we didn't want to. We didn't have to do. We didn't want to do that, you know. But yeah, I'm so glad and happy that, you know, Will managed to get through that and is now, you know, 2.5+ years sober. And I know it's just, everything's just getting better and better for him. And as he said, you know, he has to take these medications for the rest of his life, but well, it's better than the alternative, isn't it? And he'll take that any day over, you know, the alternative. So yeah, thanks again, Will. And it was just a joy having you on, and a great way to end season 2. So thank you so much, and thank you to everyone that's been listening, that's commented, that's subscribed, you know, that's put comments on Instagram and all the rest of it. So thank you so much for everyone and the continued growth of the podcast over the year. Long may it go into the new year, and I hope people, you know, kind of go back and re-listen to these episodes, because they are a tool. You know, they're not just a kind of bit of entertainment. You know, they're not for that. They're meant to be tools for people to listen to and listen back again and again and again, so that, you know, something might resonate differently when you hear the story again. And that's essentially why I do it. You know, it's to get the stories out and to help people. So if you do think that any of these episodes will help someone, that your loved one or someone that's close to you, friend or whatever, then share away, share alike. So thank you everyone that's made After Hours with Jimmy Thistle what it has been over the past year. And I look forward to seeing you all in the new year. So thank you. So hit the share button, hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button, hit the 5-star review, post a comment on the podcast that you're listening to right now, and wish me Merry Christmas if you want to do that as well. But just put something on, you know. And stay safe, stay sober, stay supportive. Love you all. Peace.